For $250 million required to restart the Four Seasons project. Local teachers are being encouraged to spot dyslexic children early. And in sports, Trinidad and Tobago are out of the Champions League in spite of an exciting win today.
Credible, balanced, committed. This is the CBC Evening News.
Good evening, I'm Pearson Bowen. This is the CBC Evening News. The luxurious Four Seasons Hotel project at Black Rock St. Michael needs another $270 million Barbados dollars to get it restarted. This disclosure from Chairman of the Paradise Beach Limited, Professor Avinash Prasad. He says a $180 million credit facility is being sought through the Inter-American Development Bank and ANSA Merchant Bank in Trinidad and Tobago, the co-arrangers of the facility. He made the comments at a news conference at the site at Black Rock.
The co-lead arrangers will be responsible for securing the entire $180 million, partly from their own resources and partly from commercial lenders they may contract into a syndicate directly themselves. This $180 million long-term credit facility is a loan to the project, not to the government. The government will not be servicing this facility. The loan does not benefit from a government guarantee.
Professor Prasad says another $90 million of equity and quasi-debt is being sought through a consortium of investors, including an undisclosed sum from the National Insurance Scheme. He says if the financing is forthcoming, construction of the project should start late next year and the project should be fully complete by the end of 2014.
It will take us a few more months beforehand, probably and regrettably 9 months, to do all the necessary planning for the hotel before we can begin construction. So I reckon you're talking a good 38 months or so before the hotel is opening.
Professor Prasad says the project is a massive one, second only to another major project in the Bahamas, and promises to be a substantial money earner for Barbados.
It is $700 million of construction. $700 million of construction. There will be over $1 billion of sales. There will be 1,250 jobs. There will be 400 permanent jobs. There will be around $100 million worth of revenues flowing into the country from the hotel and villa rentals. Of course, hotels need to import things to operate, and so not all of that money will stay in. One of the advantages of working with the IDB in Four Seasons is we're looking to maximize how much money will stay into the country.
Education Minister Ronald Jones is encouraging teachers to identify dyslexic children early to ensure their problems can be dealt with. He says many dyslexic persons have achieved great things despite their deficiencies. Mr. Jones' comments came at a seminar on dyslexia at the Savannah Hotel. Peter Thorne reports.
Education Minister Ronald Jones says dyslexic people have many talents that don't include reading and writing. And he suggested that scores of dyslexic people have significantly achieved and contributed to this world.
Some of these persons are so severely affected that their performance at school and chances of finding employment are put at risk. We must therefore do our utmost to identify those persons who have learning disabilities and reduce the number of individuals in this country who feel marginalized and voiceless because they are incapable of taking advantage of opportunities and who may ultimately become a burden to the society. In Barbados, non-governmental organizations such as the Caribbean Dyslexic Association have been at the forefront of creating awareness about dyslexia and providing training specific to helping persons deepen their understanding about this learning disability.
Mr. Jones also called for more male teachers in the system to help complement the large number of females in the classrooms.
We have a responsibility to bring more men out to help create that nurturing environment for our young people. It is almost as though we have a single gender, single sex teaching service, but we'll work on that.
Mr. Jones also urged teachers to respect their students and to be respected in the classrooms, noting that they must be relevant to the society.
And not only must the teacher training institution prepare and make teachers relevant for the classroom, but teachers must want to be relevant to the classroom. So the responsibility is not only that of the tutors of Earlston Teachers College, but also for those who go there.
Scores of teachers are attending the 4-day workshop, which is dealing with understanding the dyslexic learner, identification, diagnosis and intervention. Peter Thorne, CBC News.
The drive for a fully accessible Barbados continues, with the Tourism Minister Richard Seeley calling on all local businesses to ensure that their properties accommodate the disabled. He made the call during an inclusive tourism symposium this morning, where he explained that there are significant financial benefits to be had if hotels, restaurants, malls and other companies move in this direction. According to him, there is great economic value in investing in infrastructure to create easy access for the disabled. Minister Seeley says the statistics speak volumes.
Barbados' #1 source market, the United Kingdom, has approximately 10 million persons living with disabilities, 2.7 in England alone, that travel annually. Similarly, our second largest source market, the United States of America, there are 22 million disabled persons who have traveled at least once in recent times. Canada, our fourth largest source market, the disabled community accounts for $25 billion in consumer spending.
The Bougainvillea Beach Resort and the Lanterns at Hastings were awarded fully accessible Barbados accreditation during the symposium at the Lord Erskine Sandiford Centre. Minister Seeley lauded the effort, saying that Barbados has achieved some measure of success.
I'm happy to report that Barbados to date has achieved a measure of success in terms of full access for the disabled. This is particularly evident in some of the most recently refurbished hotels, which have incorporated into their designs wheelchair ramps, handrails, specially equipped bathrooms, and accessible parking. Even though we've achieved a level of success, much more is needed to make Barbados a fully accessible market for locals and visitors alike.
The police are now better equipped to track illegal firearms on the island. This has been revealed following a donation of specialized computer equipment by the U.S. Embassy to Attorney General Adriel Brathwaite. The presentation was made at the police headquarters, where 8 officers will receive training in the proper use of this equipment. The Attorney General says the region is living in an era which calls for science and technology to play a critical role in the fight against crime.
As a country, I think you very well know that soft policing skills are now just as important, or even, I dare say, probably more important than hard policing skills. That is, the use of technology is now, we cannot fight crime in 2011 with the old skills of the 60s and 70s, that in fact that we need to make use of technology. And I want the Royal Barbados Police Force to be leaders in this regard.
Acting Commissioner of Police Bertie Hines praised the U.S. Embassy and the representatives of the Organization of American States for their efforts to help the region stamp out crime.
I recognize that the movement of firearms really has no borders and can penetrate not only the Caribbean and Central America, but throughout the world, to commit some of the most dastardly crimes. So, once again, I extend appreciation and thanks to the donors for the equipment and for complementing it with what I perceive to be some top-class and excellent training.
Last weekend, a CBC stalwart, friend and mentor passed away. Pastor Victor Leach is remembered as a gem and an asset to the corporation. And as Lisa Broom discovered, Pastor Leach was indeed a special member of our CBC family.
For 23 years, Pastor Victor Leach walked these corridors, troubleshooting one piece of equipment or another. His aim to ensure that they worked in perfect order. But although his title was technician, it will be his relationship with the staff here at CBC that he will be best remembered for.
In the canteen at break time, Pastor will come in the canteen, he will borrow a spoon. When he borrowed the spoon now, he would continue conversation. When looking for his spoon, Pastor gone with spoon. When you go to ask for the spoon, oh, there's yours, oh, sorry.
Well, working with Victor was a pleasure. Victor was more than a co-worker. Victor was a friend. Victor was always the one to give good advice. We will miss him.
On many occasions we would go out and in a difficult situation, you know, he knows how to lighten things.
When I was very ill a few years ago, he was the person that led a lot of the prayer groups and prayer meetings for my recovery. He asked after me every day. He was a person who welcomed me the heartiest when I returned to work.
Time to Sing was Pastor Leach's baby, and it's clear that he left his mark here as well.
Victor produced the Time to Sing programs for television, and that's where we came together. And our relationship was one where we had a similar faith. And Victor was always somebody that I ran to when I was in trouble.
His office sits empty now, but this small section of the bulletin board shows how totally integrated Pastor Leach was into CBC life, performing the marriage ceremonies for several members of staff. The first he performed after receiving his pastoral license was that of Betty Lynch.
I remember 5 years ago in April, when the date was set for the wedding, I approached Pastor Leach, and he said he would gladly do it for me. His favorite name for me was Lynchy, and we always had this joke between us because he said, you are my guinea pig.
Since Victor came to the corporation, I think we become rather close because we used to discuss work and other things as well. So I felt it would have been nice, it would have been, the icing on the cake, so to speak, if he was the one to do my ceremony.
Professional training was also important to Pastor Leach. One of his last stints was in 2008 at the National Association of Broadcasters in Las Vegas, which he attended with CBC's Director of Broadcast Services, Rosemary Allen.
I remember specifically the bus that CNN used for the coverage of their presidential election. And Victor was so excited about this bus when we actually got the chance. In fact, he arranged for us to get a tour of the bus. And he was so excited about this bus and saying, look, we can do this, we should be able to get this, and Rose, this and that. He really knew his job.
And outside of CBC, his presence was just as strong. Pastor Leach was one of the main players in a monthly line some staff members held. Among them was head of sports, Mark Seal, who said Pastor Leach was an excellent all-round sportsman.
In basketball, he had a left-arm jump shot that seldom missed. He played chess for CBC in the commercial league, and a lot of people don't know he actually played Division I darts as well. So, Victor, we know him as the pastor, we know him as the technician here at CBC, but he was a fairly good sportsman as well.
What I enjoyed most about my interaction with Pastor Leach was those Saturdays when we used to hang at night playing the game that I think he played very, very well. I was the worst. He was literally the best. And ever so often he would say, man, I gotta come and teach you how to play this game, but follow me, And it was really, really good interacting with such a man.
A father figure, a confidant, but most importantly, a friend. Rest in peace, Pastor Victor Leach.